Big pharma, you're going to have me back to talk about that from the inside. But absolutely, you're absolutely right. Having, I love how you phrase that, a scarcity of emotional intelligence. And it is by design, which is why I'm so blessed to be able to do what I do, because we do take a holistic approach to healing, which, our sick model in the United States doesn't. And when you take on the responsibility of checking in with self, checking in with your emotions, how do I feel about this tragedy that's happening to me? How am I managing this grief? You put the control back in your hands. When you only reach for pills, when you only reach for this one-sided approach to your healing, which would be the medical side, it leaves the other sides atrophied. So I 1,000%, I've seen it in firsthand. I 100% agree with it. And again, the power of you not just writing your letter, but sharing your letter, the bravery of that, that's part of the healing process. That's the catalyst. So I want to be nosy. I'm going to treat you like one of my patients. I'm going to be real good in and real nosy and ask you all the questions. My first question would be,
no. Treat me like your friend. I want that nosy.
Okay. Really? No, I'm just kidding. We can do that. We can do that. We can take a road trip, because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. Fun fact: when we take road trips, man, we get in each other's business over the music. Right? It's a good look. It's a good look on the road. Well, okay then. So first, I want to ask you then, how did you get here? Because the Lotus letter, it's so purposed and it's so needed. But you've been on your own journey towards healing and clarity and understanding. Walk us through the process. Walk me through the process. How did you get from my dear friend Red, and y'all have to understand the behind the scenes of why I call her that, but we'll again save that for off camera. But how did Red get from issues within marriage, issues from your past, issues with church, issues with folk, to I'm ready to lead people who are in similar situations on their journey to healing, and I want to do so through the Lotus letters. Walk us through your process. How did you get there?
Well, I will say I don't feel like I'm leading the Lotuses. I think we're journeying together.
Okay.
Because I feel like I truly haven't arrived, and I don't ever try to convey that to the Lotuses or people that I interact with. Are there some people that think I feel, or they might view me as having arrived, but I haven't. I'm still very much on my journey of becoming whole, of becoming well. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, the Lotus in itself is actually associated more so with the Buddhist religion. Mm-hmm. And I had people to ask me early on, even before I launched the podcast, how are you going to introduce or convey the lotus flower to your audience when you know that your foundation is God? And my answer to them was, in my eyes, my father owns everything.
Come on.
He owns everything, which gives me direct access and privy to by way of relationship.
There you go.
But the backstory of the lotus in itself is the lotus grows from the mud. Mm-hmm. And I've felt my entire life has been trench work. It's been struggles. It's been muddy. Mm-hmm. Some from my own choices and decisions. Let's have accountability and ownership in that regard. However, I won't act as if my entire life has not had good days or bad days. I don't want to portray that either.
Right.
But I do feel that a lot of the things that I've been through, i.e. the abuse, the drug addiction, choosing to live a life of crime versus embracing scholarships that were awarded to me that I definitely earned. But I don't discredit it. It's all working or has worked together. And so when that lotus comes out of the mud, in the beginning, it still has some of that dirt on it.
Yeah, for sure.
But as it blossoms into the full, beautiful flower it is, it's able to use every dirty thing that was underneath that surface, that was embedded in it, and it uses it to make it blossom into this beautiful, strong flower that is a flower that looks like nothing you've ever seen.
Right.
Its beauty is one that you stand in awe. And if you really take the time to think about its journey on how it got there, some people misjudge it because it's now beautiful. So they may not account or recollect the things that it took for it to get there. Or because they don't know the full story.
Right.
And then when it dies, the seeds fall back into the mud. The seeds fall back in the mud to start the process all over again. And I love that twofold, because the lotus that blossomed great now is leaving legacy.
Yes.
Leaving legacy that will hopefully blossom into other lotuses.
Yes.
And even if it does not blossom into another lotus, then hopefully it will fertilize other lotuses. Nothing. It's a cycle.
Yeah, I love that. I actually have heard, I can't remember if I read it in a book, if I heard someone say it, that God never wasted an experience.
Wait, never. It
like no part of your
together.
Journey. Yes.
It's the working that doesn't always feel good. It's the working that we may not always understand. It's the working that we may not always be able to articulate, because it's work. It takes effort beyond where we are. But I love, and then we'll go to the next question, but I'm very passionate about the lotus. And I love that even as the seeds fall back, I like to now think about my individual self along the way. Say, for example, I'm here now. You see me in this cell. But what about 5 years ago when you visited me and I couldn't get out the bed? This version of myself was calling for that version of myself.
Yes.
Hey, I'm over here.
Yes.
Let's make it here. Let's get up.
Yes.
You got a podcast. You got an audience. You got a group of people that need to hear about when you were in that bed. So now my future self is calling this self to more. Even with this self, I'm sitting thinking, how are you doing this podcast? Are you doing this for yourself? Are you truly doing this for others? Are you doing this because we're in an age where people want likes and to be popular? Are you doing it for that reason? No, I'm doing it because my future self is calling for this self, because along the line, there's additional lotuses such as myself that's waiting for myself.
Yeah.
And each one of myself is calling for my expected end.
Yes, come on. Because at the end of the day, that's evolution, right?
Yes.
And if we continue on that nature journey, when things stop growing, they die.
Yes.
I don't want to ever stop evolving, because the moment I stop evolving, the moment I stop growing, the moment I stop becoming, I'm no longer needed here. That's my death date. The birthday is when we begin the evolutionary process. Your death date is when it ends.
Come on.
So yeah, we don't have any death dates coming up anytime soon. I love that. And I'm thinking about how when I do visualization with my patients, I have them and my clients, I have them close their eyes and we talk about, I had them specifically identify their future self. Tell me how she looks. How does she smile? What makes her happy? how does her hair look? And I have them visualize and bring that future self into the present and then give them permission to become her.
Yes.
And every time it's powerful because that's an individual journey that I can't create. Only you as the person can see it and then bring it into reality on your own terms. And so for you, my next question is, in that process and in your Lotus experience that you're still experiencing right now, how did you get to a place where you were able to not only navigate, but rebuild, right? Because that's a coming out of the mud and then becoming a Lotus, that's a rebuilding. Mm-hmm. Because what it took to survive in the mud was necessary, but that's not going to help your survival as a flower, right? Like we go through things, we learn patterns of survival that I'm sure served you. In abusive environments, you have to learn how to navigate and not step on this. You got to learn other people's triggers, you know what I mean? And that serves you well younger, you know, but then as an adult, then as a person who's been purposed for impact, right? Those survival tactics of staying in the background, not saying too much, not taking up too much space, not triggering someone else, it helped you survive when you were younger, but it no longer serves you. So how did you rebuild your self-esteem? How did you rebuild your identity to bring you to this moment? What did that look like for you?
Can I start with the why? Mm-hmm. Because the why is directly for me, I guess, in some way linked to the how. Mm-hmm. I found myself uncomfortable in the space that I currently was in. And when I say space, I don't mean just living. I don't mean locality. I mean the actual, if you allow me, Lotus's energy space.
Yeah, for sure.
I was uncomfortable. I had become frustrated. So just like with a snake, how does a snake know it's time to shed its skin? Something in his makeup is speaking to him, to saying, hey, it's time to shift out of this.
Yes.
New skin. You're actually now getting too big for where you are. So it becomes uncomfortable. His makeup speaks to that. My mind had to first conceive that there was more for me.
Yeah.
Called to more. My change started there. I had to talk to myself. I didn't want to say that. That's why I was struggling, but it came with self-talk.
Yeah.
Motivating me, motivating myself. Along the way, people make deposits into you. Along the way, there are people that try to pull you beyond where you are, but you may not be ready to go. And the way my mind thinks, I compartmentalize or I'll file it away. So I started playing or replaying the different sayings that had been spoken over me, the different words that God has sent for my life to give me hope, people that had come to extend a lifeline. It started mentally with me first.
Yeah.
Because if you can get it in your mind and speak it out your mouth, it will manifest in your life.
Above all, that you can ask or think. The issue is, what are we thinking?
What are we thinking?
Are we giving God something? Oh, that's good. It started in your mind. That's good. And here's the thing. As children of the Creator, we're creators. When we look in Genesis, he didn't just say, let there be light. He had to think that there needed to be light so that he would say it. And so it starts with our mind, because that's what creators do. Let this mind that is in Christ Jesus also be in you. What is the mind of Christ? The mind of Christ is of good and not of evil towards us. The mind of Christ is able to do exceedingly abundantly above what we could ask or think. The mind of Christ cares for the flowers as much as he does for the birds. So what more would he do for you? The mind of Christ says that all things shall be unto you. The mind of Christ says it brings me joy to watch you triumph. It gives me pleasure to catch you before you fall. That's the mind of Christ.
Mind.
So it started good. It started in the mind. So, okay, so let's stay on that vein. So you changed your mind about yourself. You changed your mind because of the atmosphere and that energetic pull that said, it's time. It's time to do something else, right?
Yeah.
What did it look like when you went from, I think I need to do something else, to doing something else?
Creating a plan. Creating a plan of action. But even with creating the plan of action, timing is important. So my first episode for Lotus was harnessing my second wind.
Okay.
A second wind is here, a new opportunity, a new strength, a new zeal, a new thirst for the things concerning me.
Yeah.
As a mother, as an entrepreneur, as a person who works a full-time job and have other people that pull on me, there is little time left for me.
Right.
So I had to be intentional about the time that I allotted to myself.
Okay.
So the mental space, so I started in my mind, I created a plan, I made my plan intentional, and I carved out time daily for me.
Got it.
There has to be self-care because you're now trying to undo, for me, 45 years, 45 years of things that you have navigated, circumstances you've navigated,
Yes.
experiences that you have endured.
Yes.
So now you have to sit in those things that you've tucked away, those things that you have forgotten about, but they are manifesting.
Yes.
They are in your body because you internalize.
Yes.
Because we're taught that as we're going through things, we need to put our big girl panties on. So now we don't want to be vulnerable. We sometimes lack emotion. I never forget the first time, well, not the first time, I was going through therapy. And during this particular session, my therapist said to me, close your eyes. I closed my eyes. He's like, tell me how you feel. Feelings. What are feelings? What are feelings? You said what? So I closed my eyes again. I could not articulate how I felt. I knew I felt something.
Oof.
But I couldn't articulate how I felt. But creating this new space for myself, having to sit with myself and sit in it, now we got to find out, what do we do with it? Or what is it?
Yes.
Because we can't even articulate it.
So So first of all, I love that. I love that because it's true. The ability to check in with self. First of all, let's go back to the self-care because you breeze right past that. I want to go all the way back.
Okay.
So, you've come there having a spa, right? Having a day spa. One thing that I saw that now in retrospect, having this conversation with you, it's like clicking with me. 97, I said 97, 98% of my patrons were wealthy white women, right? And there was this knowing, like they had this internal, maybe they've been taught, maybe that's a conversation from young, but there was this internal, I've got to be well. I deserve to be well. I'm willing to lay down my credit card and pay thousands of dollars to go to this Dr. A to make me well. I literally had people that would come and say, oh, that's right. I know I'm not on your schedule today, but I just need a session with you. I was at the carpool line and the carpool woman acted like she did not know me. I have to drive up my son every single day. And then I go to Starbucks and do you know they were out of the macchiato for caramel? Can you believe that was, can I please just get on your schedule? Something that small, they knew they had to regulate. When I offered these things to my folks, because I really opened the spot for us, to be honest. When I did it for my folks, I had to convince, it was pulling teeth to say, come, get what you need from the spa. come get a facial, come get a massage, come let me work with your body, come let me do holistic wellness. It was like, well, I got to pick up kids. I have to do all these things. It was almost like our people feel like we have to earn, and I know why. I know societally and historically why, but it's like we have to earn that moment to check in with self, to regulate with self, to be accountable to self. And it's like our counterparts, they know that. They know where to go, they know how to do it, and they know when they need it. They are very well aware. And you mentioned in your letter about finding healing in unexpected places. So if you weren't at the spa, if you weren't, meeting with therapists, I know you said that came later. What did those unexpected places of healing look like for you to bring you to that place where you could woosah and you could say, oh, I gotta sit in, I have created a whole castle of foolery. I gotta sit in this. What did those unexpected places look like?
Can I go back to the place where you said you offered it to our sisters, and they said a laundry list of things that they had to do.